I everywhere the world can do live. Hey man, I just adopted a puppy. I called it Brandon.
Good one.
In your face, owning the libs. Owning the libs.
All right.
I'm ready when you are.
Here we go. It is the Brad and Britt cast, our midweek version, and we are blessed. We are very, very blessed and very fortunate on this day with the swirl of the news being what it is, to be able to be joined straight from hell,
Yes.
by Little Rush. Little Rush, now dead. You've been dead since what, February? Is that
February
right?
the 17th of 2021, folks.
Right,
Greetings and salutations from the little DEVIL network. Live in hell, it is Little Rush having more fun than a satanic angel should have. Delighted you have joined us across the inflamed plane, folks. Delighted to be with you in 2022. Are my reruns still on the iHeart radio stations, folks?
I don't know.
They still have me on there, don't they?
I don't think you've lasted as long as people kind of thought you would. Let me ask you: Are you happy that you at least lived long enough to see the attempted destruction of the United States government on January 6th? You did live long enough to see that. I mean,
folks. As I was looking and trying to prepare the stack of stuff, I was saying, yes, we're coming upon the day that Ashley Babbitt was murdered, a day that we should never forget. Ashley Babbitt Memorial Day is coming up tomorrow. It is when the jackbooted thugs, folks, led by Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., crushed the life of a patriot and a fantastic woman and a mother of 12, folks.
He wasn't even president yet. Wait a minute.
Wait, you are trying to obfuscate the truth. Ashley Babbitt was murdered in cold blood by Kamala Harris and Joseph Robinette Biden Jr.
Right.
By the jackbooted thugs, which I warned for many years about.
Yes, I understand there was a bunch of secret meetings at the Willard Hotel on how to get her murdered. That is story,
exactly right, and I think that's what we need to look into. I think Jim Jordan, who is a great Matt Gaetz, some of these people have been looking into this, and the administration has been stonewalling them as the murder of Ashley Babbitt has been covered up by this administration, folks.
Yeah. Wow.
What are you going to be doing to commemorate Ashley Babbitt Memorial Day, folks?
I asked the questions. You answer the questions here, Little Rush.
I'll tell you what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be masturbating some of her old photos. That's how I've decided to honor her memory here in hell.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to the reason that we wanted to grab you for today. On Tuesday, Sean Hannity, it was revealed, was texting and messaging the daylights out of the president and Mark Meadows, and is being, I think, unfortunately characterized as, quote, having been on the right side, warning against the violence, saying it would backfire, wanting to make sure that there wouldn't be mass resignations in the Justice Department. This is not going to work out as well as you think it is. It's not happening the way we want. And the House committee wants to speak to him. They're just asking to speak to him. Nothing about his radio show, nothing about his TV show. It is not a First Amendment case here. It's not executive privilege. Hannity wasn't an actual member of the the government was. I can't recall anymore because
he might as well have been. Oh, wait a minute!
Yeah.
A little truth coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Yeah. So what's your take? I mean, he's the only person I can think of who is as close to being as powerful and influential as you were, and I know the two of you on the surface appeared to complement each other and kind of support each other. But now you can tell the truth. One, what do you think of Sean Hannity now? Two, did you ever really like him? Three, should he have to testify and tell the truth about what he really knows? And four, do you wish he was dead instead of you?
Yes. Let's start with that last question. I don't understand how I'm dead and Sean Hannity is still, folks. It's much easier to tell the truth now. Sean Hannity was, and always will be a piece of shit. I don't think there's any question. I don't think there's any mystery. I don't believe anybody's going to go, oh, that's shocking, little Rush, that you would say. Always a glad-handing, just a hero, making middle-aged housewives in the Midwest wet. That is the appeal of this piece of shit.
Let me ask you this, Little Rush. It was said for years, and I can't remember which direction was the correct one. It was that he believed everything he said and you didn't.
That's right.
You believed everything you were saying and he didn't. The person in this case who doesn't believe it is just doing cheap entertainment to make money. So did you believe your shit or does he believe his shit?
He believes his shit. I never believed my shit. That's why I'm here in hell. He's coming to hell. He's going to have an even worse time in hell than you talk about the sodomy that I've had to endure since February the 17th. He's going to get way more sodomized, folks. I was not aware of this. You know, he split with the wife about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. Do you know this?
Really?
Yeah,
no, I did not. I did
you
not
didn't know. I'm breaking.
So he really is copying you.
He's banging. He and Ainsley Earhart are together. True
really?
Story. Yeah, absolutely.
So she's the blonde on the sitting in the couch in the morning.
She's the only one I can think who's more brainless than that piece of shit is. I can't imagine having sex with Sean Hannity, the disassociation, where her mind must go. I don't know if she goes to It's a Small World or where she at Disney World or something when he's banging away, talking about how good he looks, trying to keep his hair in place.
Well, you know what he says every time he gets started? He goes, let my dick not be troubled.
That's exactly what he says, folks.
Yeah.
He also says, I don't believe in science except for Cialis. Doesn't believe in that vaccine, but goddamn, he'll pop a pill and get a boner. Oh,
right. And who came up with Viagra? That's Pfizer, right?
That's exactly right, folks. That's exactly right. Yeah. So I believe what was happening January the 5th and the 6th, and you see the text from Sean Hannity, who is, again, I would like to just reassert, an absolute piece of human shit. He's texting Mark, blah, blah, blah. Don't let this happen, blah, blah, blah. I think he was trying to get in Ivanka's pants, was really the ultimate. I think that was what was happening, folks. And he felt like somehow Mark Meadows or someone was, and now, honestly, I'm glad to see he's got that rather stupid tit and a ringer. And I hope you would think this might be a take that I would have.
Well, but what do you think of the fact that Dick Cheney's daughter, you were good friends with Dick Cheney.
That's right.
You loved Dick Cheney. You went hunting with Dick Cheney.
Yes.
You were everything with, and now his daughter has really left the reservation. I mean, she is on the other team now.
This is the daughter, well, and his other daughter's on the other team as well, folks. Now, this is Liz, not Les, right? That's the daughter am I right? Is that correct?
Yes, it's Liz. This is Liz.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I hope, look, it's going to be an interesting take. Folks are going to hate me for it. I don't care. I'm in hell. I've got nothing to lose. I would like to see that committee just drag Sean Hannity all over this country, leave his guts splattered from Iowa to Florida, all the way over to California, up to Maine. I would like to see them mercilessly drag this man, folks. I would like to see this man behind bars becoming somebody's bitch. That is what I hope for Sean Hannity when all is said and done. And if Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger and whoever else is involved can get it done, I would be eternally grateful from my perch here in hell.
That's amazing.
I don't get the Attila the Hun chair in hell because Attila the Hun has it. The real one.
What happened to the warm, lovable fuzzball?
You know,
that you used to characterize yourself as. Was that a fake too?
Well, you spend about 340 days in hell. See how you do. Warm, lovable fuzzball my ass. I can finally tell the truth about that piece of shit Sean Hannity, glad-handing, ass-kissing. My God. I don't think Rupert Murdoch has an ounce of blood left in his ass from all the sucking that Sean Hannity did over the course of 25 years. That's part of why Rupert Murdoch looks so wrinkled, folks, is that Sean Hannity sucked his ass so hard, all of these wrinkles formed up top. You don't see that in Succession, do you?
No, you don't.
No, you don't see that shit, do you?
No,
Rush telling the truth from hell.
Wow, whoa, Rush, you're really. Are you vaccinated? By the way, did you ever?
I absolutely 100% got vaccinated. I couldn't tell my audience about it because, again, now that I'm truth telling here in hell, my audience was the dumbest bunch of fucks you'll ever find. Just a whole truckload of rubes. I mean, they don't have enough sense to wipe their asses. So I couldn't say to them, hey, folks, I took the vaccine and, the cancer is going to get me. It doesn't matter, but I'm going to go ahead and take the vaccine. So, I died February the 17th. I took a vaccine the day before because I felt this is very important. I talked it over with Catherine. That was the last wife, wasn't it? Was she the one that got all the money?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. I said, look, I'm going to take the vaccine on February the 16th just so some little shit in a third world country can't get it.
See, I thought, I didn't know you'd go international. I thought you would just be happy to know that would be one less vaccine available for a black person in the United States.
Well, yeah, some poor black kid on the south side of Chicago wouldn't get it.
Right.
But then I didn't take Johnson & Johnson. I think that's the ghetto vaccine, is it not, folks? I believe that is.
Yeah.
So, yes, I took the vaccine on February the 16th so that a black child couldn't have it. It was like the Jesse Helms commercial. You wanted that vaccine. oh, Jesse Helms. He's down here, too.
Yeah.
Hey, I got Jesse's around here somewhere. I gotta go. We're gonna play mahjong or pickleball later.
Right.
I'm not sure. One or the other.
All right, Little Rush. It's great to have you check in on this very, very important eve of an anniversary of a. Are you sad that Donald Trump won't be down to close where you used to live, having a very important press conference? He decided that his press conference, which of course was never going to be a press conference in the first place, but okay, for the sake of the argument, we'll call it a press conference. But that he has decided the art of discretion suddenly has dropped onto Donald Trump's head, and he's figured out it wouldn't be a good idea to rant about January 6th on January 6th, while most of the rational world is saying this was not a great day, or as you call it, Ashley Babbitt assassination anniversary.
Ashley Babbitt Memorial Day, yes, folks.
Yeah.
And he's going to be doing the same thing I do. He'll just be getting some old pictures of Ashley Babbitt and jacking off to him. That's what he's going to be doing. He decided that was a better use of his time. See, there you go. See, people say masturbation's a bad thing. It kept Donald Trump out of the spotlight for one day, folks. I mean, that's got to be worth something, doesn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Anything you want to throw in anything about sports? I know you've always been possibly the most well-informed football fan
in
the country.
It's good to see Ben Roethlisberger, as a Steelers fan, lifelong Steelers fan, folks, playing his last game at Heinz Field. And I'm glad that they have forgotten all about him going down and sexually harassing women in Georgia. I'm glad that that's gone by, putting the Super Bowl ring on his cock and running around and chasing women. I'm glad that that is no longer in the national ether and being talked about. Finally, he has avoided cancel culture. He is going out a winner, folks, and he did shaking the hands and hugging people at Heinz Field on Sunday night. Big victory over the Cleveland Browns.
Okay. All right, Little Rush. You take care. We'll check in with you soon enough here, maybe before the Super Bowl maybe even before that, which is not that far off. Okay.
That's exactly
and by the way,
right.
Little Rush, if you want to come to my house, I have a Super Bowl party every year. Britt and John the Catholic and Pete Bunch, we all get together. We do it every year. You are invited if you can get here. If you take an Uber from hell or something, however you might get here.
The Uber from hell. Well, I normally would say no and pass on your stupid ass party, but I hear that chili that John the Catholic makes is just to die for.
It's pretty good.
And since I'm already dead, I don't have to worry about that. So yes, I'll punch it in. I believe that's going to be the day before Valentine's Day. I believe it's when the Super Bowl is going to be this year.
Is it really that far off?
It's that far off.
That far into February?
Because they have the 17 game schedule, folks. That's been the big. A lot of people don't know that. I'm the first one to point it out because I know more about sports than anyone.
You always did, and I remember you were probably the first sports victim of cancel culture when they took you off the NFL broadcast instantly for speaking the truth many years ago. I do remember that, and I feel bad about it to this very day.
What do you think of those two yahoos, Peyton and Eli, basically ripping me off, folks? I did what they did 19 years ago, right?
Oh, you mean come completely unprepared and just speaking off the top of their head, except they played the game and they know what the hell they're talking about? You're talking about those two guys?
That's exactly right,
those
folks.
Guys, both MVPs of the league.
I mean,
both Hall of Famers. Eli will get into both of them. Those two. Yeah,
I'm always glad to see wide four-headed Aryans getting work on ESPN, but still, I mean, I invented it, I did it, I pioneered it pioneered everything.
Right. Okay. What about John Madden?
John
Madden was kind of a Rush-like figure without the political baggage in a way.
That's exactly right.
He had your showmanship, except, again, it was somebody who had actual knowledge of the game. Didn't just talk off the top of his head and pull it out of his ass. He knew what he was saying.
A beloved figure and a well-known conservative for many, many years. People are...
You don't know that.
People are serving tributes to him. Of course, John Madden loved Donald Trump, Donaldus Magnus, just the way that we did, folks. And it's good to see the media not shit on somebody for once.
Get rid of him. All right. Pull the plug. Thank you.
Little
Rush. Good to talk to you.
Wow.
Woo.
He's actually coming to the Super Bowl party?
He's going to be there.
Holy shit. Well, you cancel me. I don't know.
He's going to bring, you know what? He'll bring the cigars, which you'll have to smoke outside because we don't have people smoking.
We don't do that. No, for God's sake.
Yeah. All right. We have some other things to take care of. I do have a mini list. I have a mini list here. Are you interested?
Certainly.
Yeah. Whose fault is it? The Jews or the French solution? The French solution.
As much as I like to go for the Jews, let's do the French solution first.
Okay. Two French stories here. Number one, the president of France finally doing what we've always wanted someone in public office to do about the anti-vaxxers. He's saying it. Here it is. Make people who aren't yet vaccinated pissed off. Quote from French President Emmanuel Macron, the unvaccinated, I really want to piss them off. And so we are going to continue to do so until the end. That is the strategy. That was an interview with a French newspaper cited by Reuters news service. His language has been translated a couple different ways. The BBC quotes him as saying he wants to, quote, hassle the unvaccinated rather than piss them off. There's a big difference there. Yeah. The Associated Press is going with bug them or rile them up. The French word is emender, E-M-M-E-R-D-E-R, emender, which comes from the root word that means crap or shit. So however you translate it, it's considered, this says vulgar, I say fantastic.
Now, is he already backing off from this, or is he doubling down? Is he saying, I said
Macron's rivals were quick to pounce on it. The far-right leader, Marine Le Pen, who she's just dreadful.
She
Okay.
is.
Boy, you talk about a fucking wart that they can't seem to just excise. She's been in every election or talked about since we were children.
That's true.
And she never wins.
It's
but you just see her name all the time. He's unworthy of the office, says Marine Le Pen. Oh, fuck you. And some also criticized the idea he was conveying, because they've got all kinds of rules about you can't enter restaurants, you can't go to movie theater, you can't do anything. And Macron says, ready? You're not going to be able to go to any restaurant anymore. You won't be able to down one. You won't be able to have a coffee, go to the theater, the cinema. And so far, he's not backing down, but it's not a law. But just the fact that he would say it, and I know you're not supposed to do that. That's not going to help. You're not going to convince anybody, blah, blah. But you know what? We all have been saying this among ourselves for months.
They've been coddling these people.
2 years.
They've been coddling these unvaccinated people. And it was a year ago that people were starting to hear about a vaccine. They're like, when can I get it? Can I get on the phone? People were on the phone for days and hours trying to get this thing. And now these assholes are still like, I'm not sure. I don't think I should get it. I don't know what's in it. Yeah, you're right. He just said what everybody was thinking. There's no question.
And because you brought that up, and because I actually spent some time preparing today, I decided to make sure I knew just what the reaction was in the United States when it was announced there was a polio vaccine. So how did they do it?
Okay.
On April 12th, 1955, there was what was anticipated to be a speech that would be given at the University of Michigan by an epidemiologist named Thomas Francis Jr. He was going to speak for 90 minutes, and he put it right out there that they got it done. Now, this is the interesting part, and people went nuts. They were dancing in the streets. I mean, it was like a huge moment in American history. But this is what really nails it here. He said at the time that the polio vaccine, which, this is the Jonas Salk vaccine, would be 60 to 70% effective against the most prevalent polio virus of the day, 60 to 70%, which is really pretty good for a vaccine, but it's not close to what the COVID vaccines were, right? Even the Johnson & Johnson vaccine was in the high 80s.
It was.
The other two were in the 90s. This one was in the 60s, and people were thrilled by it. It would be 90% effective against a less common strain of the polio virus. But for some reason, back when America was great, if I can use the phrase,
right. That's right,
people were thrilled that there would be that kind of protection. But now, and by the way, and the resistance to getting it was way, way, way less than what we've seen now. Yeah, there have always been people in the country.
Well, yeah.
But now we've had vaccines that are so much better, and we have boosters that kind of really help people. But that's not good enough. And with breakthrough cases, now they really have their excuse, right? That's it. I mean, how many times now? I heard it this morning on Fox. That fucking bitch Kennedy. Boy, she a pain in the ass.
Speaking of people that won't go away, speaking of cancers that can't be excised.
Yeah. What was she on? The original MTV?
It's been 35 years of bullshit from her.
Okay. Who decided she knew anything besides here's Madonna's next song? Who decided that?
And barely
where did that come from? But anyway, she went through every false stereotype and trope because she's gotten infected twice, but she's been vaccinated, and her kids have gotten sick, and they're vaccinated. So therefore, it doesn't work, and they lied to us about it. They lied. They said this wouldn't happen, and blah,
lie.
And so here we are, and the real numbers that matter, of course, are that the people who are vaccinated, certainly with the third shot, your chances of dying are infinitesimally small. They're smaller than if you get in your car and drive to the store, probably, right?
Yeah.
You're more likely to get killed in a car accident. Doesn't matter.
Right. It's about right.
but we have this dug in political bullshit to harken back to the fact that it's official. Joe Biden lied because back in June, right before the 4th of July, right? He said, we see it. We can celebrate the 4th of July, and we've got it. And of course, that was before the Delta strain, certainly before Omicron. But because where we are now is where we are now, it's official. Joe Biden lied. He just lied.
But going back to the polio thing, there were people who were skeptics, but they didn't have the avenues of disinformation that are available today. I mean, there was no Facebook back then to spread the bullshit, and no Instagram and no Reddit and all this other horse shit to spread the misinformation and disinformation.
Yes, that's correct. But a bad idea has had the ability to spread anywhere and everywhere, for thousands of years. Okay.
It's so much easier. It's so much easier now.
All afternoon and evening, church bells rang out across America. People flooded into the streets, kissing and embracing, parents hugging their kids with joy and relief. Jonas Salk became an instant national hero, as opposed to getting death threats like, say, Dr. Fauci. Okay. And we don't even know the names of the people, the scientists who came up with the corona. Occasionally you see them and they're interviewed quickly and they're sent off.
Yeah, the BioNTech guy had a big deal, had a lot to do with it.
Right. Of course, the president had Salk to the White House. He got the Congressional Gold Medal of Honor, later awarded to Rush Limbaugh by Donald Trump at the State of the Union. Remember that? Oh, my God.
See, that would be another thing. That's another in-your-face thing that Biden doesn't do. Biden should have a ceremony and give Fauci the Medal of Honor. Because you remember, right in the middle of the Iraq War when shit was falling apart, Bush would have. You remember they would have when the Iraq War had imploded. Bush would have these people and give them gold medals, like Paul Bremer and people like that. He'd give them fucking
right. Didn't he give one to? Didn't Rumsfeld?
I think Rumsfeld got one. I don't know if Wolfowitz got one, but everybody who was involved.
Damn it, he should have. If he didn't, he should.
I know Paul Bremer got one, and Paul Bremer fucked it up as bad as anybody you can name. So yeah, for sure. That would be something that Joe Biden should do. But again, we're talking about the in-your-face shit and the stuff that Macron said that you'd like to do, but you can't do. You can't do that stuff. It's not helpful because always. But that's the thing is there always seems to be this. You have to coddle these people who are vaccine hesitant. You have to be don't disrespect them. No, don't minimize them. But I'm sorry, at some point in time, all they do is go around and talk shit about people all the time. But they're so sensitive when it comes to their own vaccine hesitancy. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, well, you minimize yourself. We're not minimizing you. You've minimized yourself. One more little nugget here about the Salk vaccine and the follow-up to it. Of course, he went on the program hosted by the most famous newsman of the day, the great Edward R. Murrow. Yeah. Who's most famous for having a street named after him in Greensboro, North Carolina, as you know.
That's correct.
That's his most famous. Anyway, he goes on with Murrow. Salk does, and Murrow asks Jonas Salk, who owns the patent to the vaccine? And Salk's answer was, the people. There is no patent. Oh. Could you patent the sun? Okay, well, we're in a different world now, aren't we?
It sounds like socialism to me, folks. Those are the words of socialists, the people.
Right. Well, that's right. Just like in China. Look in the days that followed, school kids were instructed by their teachers to write thank you notes to Salk. Universities lined up to give him honorary degrees. Millions of American doctors, nurses, and parents got down to the serious business of vaccinating their children against polio, using a shot that they'd been anticipating for 17 years. We didn't even have to wait 17 months. We barely had to wait 17 weeks for the announcement that there was going to be a vaccine.
And yet,
but it's not good enough.
It's not. We can't save some people. There's some people that can't be saved.
And the other thing is now, not only did Joe Biden lie and say that he could tame this virus, but he went out of his way to let people know that even though he didn't invent the vaccine, that he was going to put together an organized group of professionals to get this done, blah, 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 blah. And he didn't, because it's still around and you can still get it. So
there's so much language that they use. They still call it, they harp on the idea it's an experimental vaccine and all this shit. They try to say all this stuff about how many people have been killed by the vaccine. There's some dumb shit. I mean, you literally, I've said this, you literally driving down the freeway or interstate, whatever you want to call it, depending on what area of the country you live in. If you're driving down the interstate, your chances of being hit by falling ice from an airplane are about the same as being killed by the COVID vaccine. I mean, it's just the dumbest shit in the history of the world, but they continue to perpetuate
the only
it.
thing that is less likely than you getting sick and dying from the vaccine itself is that within the next 50 years, the Cleveland Browns will win a Super Bowl. That's not going to happen.
I don't know.
So that's the only thing that you can go.
I feel like they're on the cusp.
Yes, absolute zero.
I feel like they're on the cusp. It's a really good roster.
Yeah. Wait, I got to do now. Whose fault is it? The Jews.
Oh, yeah.
Now you may have seen this story yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy who runs a tech company, founded it, named Dave Bateman. And he's from Utah. He's a tech entrepreneur. And of course, he's a Republican fundraiser. And he started off his message to state leaders in Utah and members of the tech industry, suggesting he had at least some inkling of how his message would be received. He knew that this was not going to be well received. And he sent out an email ahead of time. He wrote that it was undeniable regarding the vaccine that there's a sadistic effort underway to euthanize the American people. I believe the Jews are behind this. I believe the pandemic and systematic extermination of billions of people will lead to an effort to consolidate all the countries in the world under a single flag with totalitarian rule. Mr. Bateman also wrote.
The weirdest thing was, I think he said it when they go, "Hey, what do you want for lunch?" That was the response to that question.
Mr. Bateman also wrote that Jews have, quote, been trying to infiltrate the Catholic Church for hundreds of years and put a Jewish leader as the head of the Catholic Church. Now,
a Jewish pope. Oh my God, that's
pope.
That would be the most fantastic thing.
Yeah, Pope Moishe.
Pope Weissman, how are you? It's so good to see you.
And he says that they had already accomplished this. They secretly got it done when Pope Francis was elected Pope in 2013. He believes that Pope Francis is a Jew. Now, we do play this game occasionally, Jew or not a Jew.
Not a Jew.
Pope Francis never came up on the list of possibly a Jew. All right, so the CEO of the company put out a statement, of course, saying they were highly offensive and they ran him out of the company the same day, which would be a Tuesday. The Jewish Federation called it violent, hyperbolic. The governor of Utah said, "This is the worst thing I've ever heard. Irresponsible comments, hurtfully anti-Semitic, blatantly false. We completely reject them." And Donald Trump said, "Hey, I'll go."
He sent it in an email to a bunch of people. So it's like, at what point, I mean, even if you have those thoughts internally and you go, I'm just going to keep those thoughts to myself. No, you know what? I need to write those down somewhere. No, you know what? I need to send those out to some of the most powerful people I can possibly find. I mean, at what point, again, it's the stair step to hell. Hey, honey, could you proofread my Jew mail here? Because I got a thing here about them trying to kill all of us, and I want to make sure there's no typos or anything in there.
Yeah. All right. Now let's actually talk about something really that should be the first thing we talked about, but Little Rush gets in the way of any kind of serious discussion.
Of course he does, bastard.
This whole idea, and we've seen it now for 5-6 years, of Trump not just doing terrible things or saying terrible things, but telegraphing out loud the terrible things that he's going to do and daring you to stop him.
Yeah.
I dare you to try to indict him. I dare you to try to prosecute him. I dare you to try to get after him. And part of his defense has always been, well, how could it be a crime? I said I was going to do it, which of course is no defense. But this is now to the millionth power regarding the plans ahead of January 6th from last year and the aftermath here, because we have people who are coming out, and I'm not talking about Steve Bannon even. Mm-hmm. He's bad enough, or Meadows, he's bad enough, the two who won't cooperate with the committee. But you have the ones who have cooperated, and and the hints aren't just being dropped, they're being, rocketed out there that they know everything. It's just a question of putting the pieces together. And they've been able to do it by talking to just about everybody but those two. And now they're talking about bringing in Mike Pence. Now, what's Mike Pence going to do? Is he going to say, I can't talk about this? You were part of the story, okay? You're as much part of the story as the Capitol Police, as anybody else. So he can't possibly say no when they invite him in. I mean, is he going to try to make them subpoena him to talk about the fact that he was threatened with death by people acting in the name of the president?
I want you to think about that. What Mike Pence has basically tried to deflect for a year now when somebody was trying to murder him. Like Donald Trump sent people to kill him. And for the past year, Mike's been, it's not that big a deal. It's just another day at the office.
Right.
Think about that. And now the idea that he might continue to try to obfuscate or try to dodge or be clever by half or whatever in terms of not testifying or getting up there and saying, I wasn't that scared.
Right. But I'm leading up to what I saw last night. And there's a bunch of pieces on it in the usual suspect places that we frequent, Media Ite and the rest. But I watched it in real time yesterday in the 6 o'clock Eastern hour. And this was on MSNBC, Ari Melber. And he did something, and this is a sidebar media criticism, not just of him, but of a lot of people. Then I'll get back to the point, because as you know, we're on a podcast. We don't have to ever get to our destination straight. We can get off at an exit and come right back on, right?
That's right. That's exactly right.
Listen closely, people. Stop with the nebulous teases. Stop saying that coming up, we're going to have a very important guest to talk about blank. We're going to have a special person who say the name of the person. It won't hurt you. It will not damage you. It's just annoying. It actually helps you. Stop with the cheap cover-up teases that you do. All right. Now, back to Ari, who, by the way, did that earlier in the hour. Usually it's not a good payoff when they do that, but this time it was, because it was Peter Navarro, the guy who was the unqualified piece of shit that Trump had as his trade representative, but he started mouthing off about everything, right?
Right.
And he's already put it down in writing in a book, and he's happy to go around and talk about it. And he's also apparently already said these things to the committee. He's cooperating. He's not saying I won't talk. He's one of the 300 that have talked, but he's so nuts that he thinks that this is a win to go on television and to go on MSNBC instead of saying it on Fox, where it's like trees falling in the forest. Nobody's going to hear it except the same people. So he went on MSNBC and he went head to head with a guy who likes to fuck around a lot on his show, but when he gets serious, he's as good as anybody on television right now as an interviewer, because he will come prepared and you will not fuck with him, Ari Melber. And he would not let Peter Navarro get away with bullshit. He wouldn't let him do it. And Navarro somehow thought that he had the law and reason and rationality on his side. And he described how their plan was all about just getting a bunch of members of Congress to say, no, we don't accept what happened in the election, and for Mike Pence to go along with it and not accept the Electoral College numbers that would be put in front of him and cause enough chaos that this would get thrown back to the House of Representatives, where supposedly, allegedly, you might have thought that would have been a slam dunk win for Donald Trump, because the numbers were, I think, 26 delegations are Republican, 24 are Democratic, and you get one vote per state. In other words, South Dakota gets one vote, California gets one vote, so Trump would win. Now, here's the problem. Liz Cheney was the sole member of the House of Representatives from Wyoming. Do you think that she would have gone along to peel back the election and elect Trump over the will of the people? Not from what we've heard her say for the last year. So it probably wouldn't have worked. But let's put aside the fact that the chaos would have been just unmentionably horrible, and the constitutional crisis might have brought an end to the country as we know it. Peter Navarro, he's a certified crackpot, but he's a very articulate crackpot. So he'll keep talking and make you think that he thinks that what he's saying does have some facts behind it. But Ari Melber just slam dunked him over and over and over again. You have proposed an outright, flat out coup. You stop it. Don't give us bullshit. You are proposing that there should have been a coup to keep Donald Trump installed as the president against the will of the American people, as expressed in the vote and then confirmed in the Electoral College, knowing full well that we were only 40,000 shifted votes away from Trump winning in the Electoral College, but still losing the popular vote by 7 million. So they're out there now saying, this is what we plan to do. We're going to besmirch the memory of the Green Bay Packers and call this a Packer sweep, which essentially was the mowing down of a defense by a brilliantly conceived run to the right. It's always to the right, by the Green Bay Packers running backs of the era, Donnie Anderson, Jim Taylor, people like that.
Paul Hornung.
Paul Hornung, yeah. They think that this is a legitimate way to either sway public opinion or make you question, well, maybe they had a point. Maybe they had some reason, and make it seem as if the fact that because the Trump phonies went around and got smacked down, 60 times in court, that didn't matter, because these courts just wouldn't look at the evidence. They were just saying you had no standing to be here, get the fuck out. Well, that's not fair. That's not right. Mm-hmm. That's like saying when the referee makes a bad call in the stand in a game, if someone, in the cheap seats says, review that play and reverse it, the referee will say, you have no standing to tell me to reverse them. So no, the call stands. That's what he's saying. And it's, of course, a bad analogy, but it kind of makes sense here. That if the courts would have just not locked arms against Donald Trump and against truth and against the facts as we had them, and that could extend, he didn't say it, but remember what was going on. We had Jewish space lasers put up by the Italians in a satellite. We had dead Venezuelan dictators, Hugo Chavez, apparently manipulating votes through who knows how he did that. All that now doesn't get talked about. Notice that?
It's weird.
Now it's we just had solid evidence. So I say, good on Ari Melber, and it's a good damn thing that if he was going to go on that network, that he was the one that they had, because it takes the mind of a trained lawyer sometimes to be able to bat back bullshit and twisted facts. So he's a lawyer, and apparently was a very good one, and he knew how to handle it. So that's the combination of a journalist and lawyer that was MVP, as opposed to Sean Hannity, who is a horrible combination of talk show host and presidential advisor. That's kind of a deadly combination. By the way, good on everybody for now calling Sean Hannity a host. You notice that? They're using the word host because there are too many people. And by the way, Rachel Maddow, guilty of this. She calls herself an anchor person. Okay, I'm anchoring the 9 o'clock. Bullshit. You're a talk show host. You're an opinion jock. Stop it. You're not Cronkite. You're not Chancellor. You're not Howard K. Smith. You're not David Muir. You're Rachel Maddow. There's nothing wrong with that, but stop using the word anchor. Stop using the word journalist, because you're not doing journalism. You're using the techniques, but it's different. It's not the same. And in the case of Sean Hannity, that total Fox audience, much of it is completely confused because they think that Tucker Carlson is the 8 o'clock anchor. Sean Hannity is the 9 o'clock anchor man. And I know that language doesn't mean anything until it means something, but I think it means something here. And Hannity doesn't even deserve the use of the word host. Okay, it should just be hack. Okay, he's insulting the word host. Betty White was a host on a show 60 years ago.
Sure. Peter Marshall was a host. That's
Peter
exactly right.
Host.
Yeah, that's
host. Right. Right.
I don't want to get my hopes up about the Sean Hannity stuff, because I would like to see him. Again, it's Lucy in the football. I would like to see this guy taken down like the clown that he is. Obviously, he was part of this, and he needs to kind of come forward and say what he knows, because there are certain things in those texts. But then, he gets his stupid ass lawyer to go, I don't know, we got some First Amendment issues here. All of a sudden, these are freedom of the press guys, right? All of a sudden, that's what they're going to go with. Those fuckers.
No way. There's no way. And the committee, very smart. They anticipated that. And they went out of their way to say that this has nothing to do with his radio show, his television show, or his political opinions.
That's right.
Again, is that going to stop Hannity's lawyers, the Fox lawyers, from making a false charge of infringement on First Amendment rights? It won't stop them, because all they're into is delaying, right? They just want to delay everything as long as they can. So they'll probably do it. So it's going to be and by the way, I wouldn't even put it out of the realm of possibility and put this on the calendar under Brad said something that's so stupid you don't even want to discuss it. Here it is. Ready? Remember there was, and I can't remember when this came up, there was an attempt to call, and I think Trump said this, it was full 100% blanket immunity for everyone, for everything that they ever said to me, anywhere at any time. Remember, he called that. There was some kind of phrase for it. So I can see where the hypocrite that Hannity is, and that his lawyers are, and that his defenders will be, as not only falsely trying to invoke some kind of First Amendment abridgment here, when the committee is trying to get to him and have him explain exactly what he meant and what he was thinking and what he knew that was the basis for those texts. But then on the other side, they will falsely, completely pulling out of their ass something that's so stupid, I can't believe I'm going to say it here. You ready? Executive privilege with Sean Hannity. Now, Sean Hannity did not work for the government. Sean Hannity, right? This has nothing to do with any executive. This is so far, it's like, again, I always like to bring this up. This is as ridiculous as saying, oh, Britt, I just got a call. The Raiders want you to start at quarterback this Sunday. Okay? It shouldn't happen. It didn't happen. And there's no validity to it. And there's no such thing as executive privilege. And again, remember, no, I'm not even going to finish the sentence, which means I'll finish the sentence. Joe Biden is the one who has executive privilege.
Correct.
Rights right now to decide what's.
Because he's the executive. Once you leave office, it doesn't survive you getting the office. You're out. You're done. You lost.
What you said 10 minutes ago completely should not be disregarded, which is, what are the chances that Hannity will pay some kind of price?
I'd love it.
In the end for all this. The answer is nothing. Because remember, they're not trying to go after Sean Hannity. They're just trying to get to you-know-who. That's all this is about. It's what did he know, when did he know it, and who told him, and how much of an orchestrator Was he? Because you have to go back to your mafia example here to try to figure out what's the culpability of Donald Trump. Now, they never did convict Don Corleone in The Godfather from anything. They never caught him because he was really good at placing all of those barriers between what was going on in his name and ultimately what happened, right? Other people did take the fall sometimes.
Sean Hannity is Fredo. Sean Hannity's Fredo.
You think so?
Put it out there. He's Fredo.
You think so?
That's right. Roger Stone is Sonny. Wish you go to a toll booth sometime soon.
Yeah.
And Sean Hannity is Fredo. He's the dumb one.
Right. Well, then who's Michael? Who is the real heir apparent? It's not Don Jr. He's about as. By the way, we didn't congratulate him on finally marrying that Kimberly Guilfoyle. I understand that if you want to get them a gift, okay, they are registered at a big box store. It's called Assholes Are Us. Okay.
All right, I'm not trying to one up you, but I was going to go with Cocaine R Us, but that's fine. I like Assholes R Us.
That's different. Cocaine R Us is an online store only. Okay. Yeah. Assholes Are Us. They've got 612 physical locations around the country, so you can shop in person or online at their website. They're omni-channel. They've got it all covered.
For some reason, they're honeymooning in Colombia. I don't know. Who knew?
Yeah. South Carolina?
No.
No.
That'll be it for us.
All right. That's it. And when we're done, we'll talk to Little Rush's people to make sure that we don't go as long as we haven't talked to Little Rush for 6 months.
He had a lot of stuff. He had a lot of good material there.
A lot of good stuff. And that was fun. All right. We'll see you on the next one.